All right, back to basketball here on BTN Live. Mike Hall joining you, and glad as always to bring in our pal Steve Smith joining us on the phone now after a busy week himself. Steve, you were doing all the games this past week nationally, but let me focus on Michigan State for the sake of this interview. They lose 2 first-round picks. They lose a guy who started 123 games in his Spartan career, and then early on in the season, they lose to Texas Southern. What would you have said 4 months ago if I would have told you Michigan State would now be in the Sweet 16?
You know, Mike, just knowing the program and obviously having a close relationship with Tom Izzo, and then also knowing the talent that they have on the team and that they had left after everything, like you said, the draft pick and so much that they lost. As long as you can get Tom Izzo to march, and as long as you can get his teams to march and they're healthy, and he gets a chance to prepare for teams, he has a chance. I mean, I know you've seen the slogan in the shirts going around is January, February, Izzo, April. It's his time, and he's just been masterful. You look at what he's done. You know, he gets to the Sweet 16 if you get him to the tournament, at least.
Where does this year rank among the best coaching jobs Izzo's done?
You know, I think all time right up there just because of the way they started out, and I just think the way people kind of look at a team on paper, what they're supposed to be, what their talent's supposed to be, and then when people kind of say, here's their ceiling, this is probably the farthest they will go. And then, you know, I think a week or two before they even got to the Big Ten tournament, people were saying, will they even make the tournament? And now you look at it, had a chance, a really good chance to win the whole thing. You know, take it minus about a minute. If they could have cut off a minute of the game, they'd have definitely beat Wisconsin and win the entire thing. Did a nice job against Maryland, and then they've been phenomenal in these first 2 games in the NCAA tournament.
And all that good stuff being said, the thing that's driving Izzo nuts is the free throw percentage. They shoot only 62% during the regular season, and in both tournament games, they shoot under that 62%. At this point in the year, Steve, what can be done about that?
You know, I think Tom has done a nice job of keeping the basketball in the hands of the guys that can make free throws, whether it's Trice or Denzel Valentine. But I think for Tom I think he's also, knowing him, he's coaching that way. We have to come out and not make these games close. We got to come out also, if there is close, be confident. And he said it. Guys just got to go up there and knock down free throws. I don't think there's nothing they can do right now. They've been putting in the work, and then I think sometimes because it's talked about so much, it starts to get into the guys' head. But I think also for them is, if you're in the moment, you just play. And I think he does a good job of getting his team in the moment and not worried about their deficiencies and worried about what they do well, and that's rebound the basketball.
As a former Spartan scorer yourself, what do you see in the growth of Travis Trice this year?
I would say Mike wear 2 hats. At times he has to be a point guard. Then at times he has to be a scorer. And I think he has struggled a little bit with that last year because at times when he wanted to be a point guard, you had to keep Applin. But we kind of looked at Travis Trice as you have to score. You have to score. But I think right now, as you look at it, he has 9 assists in the first 2 games, but also he has 19 points. And he's done a nice job of being aggressive as a basketball player, not thinking about being a scorer, not thinking about being a facilitator. Just whatever happens or whatever the play dictates, that's what you take. And basically it's simple, take what the defense gives you. And I think he's doing that. If you're leaving him open and you're giving him an opportunity to score, he's scoring. If he's driving the basketball and another guy comes, he's confident enough to pitch in the basketball.
The Oklahoma Sooners are up next. They're the 3rd-ranked team in that region. They got the Big 12 Player of the Year in Buddy Hield. What's the key to this matchup, Steve?
Lon Kruger, as we know, was in the Big Ten, does a nice job. He's taken 4 teams to the Sweet 16. They come out and they play extremely hard. And they kind of mirror Michigan State when you start talking about not a lot of size, but just a lot of toughness. I just love the way they come out and they compete. I think for them is the one guy that you really have to watch is Ryan Spangler on the glass of Michigan State, probably Dawson's assignment. And he is going to the glass, not scoring as well in this tournament, but he's capable of scoring. I think you got to match his intensity. And then the entire Sooners team, the way they play, they don't really shoot a lot of – they shoot some threes, but they're not a team that's going to wow you offensively. I think it's more of just making plays and toughness.
Before we let you go, Steve, we're hearing Draymond Green texting seniors saying, don't let this be your last game. We see Magic Johnson in the crowd following these guys around. What is it about the culture with MSU that its former players are still so connected to its current ones?
Well, I think it goes all the way back to Judd Heathcote and Magic Johnson. Magic has done a great job of setting the tone always back when he was a player. After he won a championship, you can see him right on campus, and it also helps that he's from Lansing. But I think also take that to another level. Tom does an excellent job of everybody, players who played before him, and then obviously the current players and players of the past that played under his regime that, we're one family. And also is always a reunion game, whether it's football, basketball, where he's inviting all the players back. And we just have those type of guys that we stick together and stay together. And, Spartans ring all around the country, no matter what, and we have a great following. I think it's going to be a great following in Syracuse.
Steve Smith, you saw him this week doing the first couple rounds. You'll see him this upcoming weekend in studio for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, and you'll see him in the Final Four coverage as well. As always, thanks for your time, man.
I appreciate it, Mike.